Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something that keeps popping up more and more, gold IRAs. We've looked at some sources to really get under the hood here.
Yeah, it's definitely getting attention. So a Gold IRA, it's basically a self-directed retirement account. But the twist is you can hold actual physical precious metals.
Not just gold, right? Our sources mentioned others.
Exactly. Gold, sure, but also silver, platinum, even palladium. It's a shift from the usual stocks and bonds you see in, say, a standard IRA.
Okay, so the big idea seems to be diversification, moving beyond just paper assets. Why is that considered important?
Well, it's about correlation, really, or rather the lack of it sometimes. Precious metals often move independently of the stock market.
Meaning if stocks go down?
Metals might hold steady or sometimes even go up. It's not guaranteed, of course, but historically, they can act as a kind of buffer during economic turbulence. Helps cushion the blow to your overall portfolio.
Let's focus on gold for a second. The materials really emphasize it as an inflation hedge. Can you unpack that a bit?
Sure. Think about inflation as your money buying less over time. Gold, historically anyway, has often moved in the opposite direction to the dollar.
So, as the dollar weakens,
The price of gold might rise, potentially preserving your purchasing power. It's seen as a way to, hold on to wealth long term when currency values fluctuate.
right? That historical store of value idea.
Yeah.
And there's also the tangible aspect, isn't there? Actually owning the physical metal.
Yes, and that's a big psychological factor for many. You're not just looking at numbers on a screen, you have a physical asset.
Something real.
Exactly. One source put it nicely. Gold is a tangible asset that can be held in your hand, providing peace of mind that your wealth is secure. Especially, when markets feel uncertain.
And we saw this play out, didn't we? Like in the 2008 crisis.
Uh-huh. That's a classic example people point to. While lots of assets were tumbling, gold prices actually surged quite significantly.
Really highlighted its safe haven reputation.
It did. It showed how it can perform differently under severe economic stress.
Okay, let's switch gears slightly. What about silver? It's often talked about with gold, but does it have its own unique points in an IRA?
It definitely does. Like gold, yes, it's seen as an inflation hedge and offers that tangible ownership security.
But there's more to it.
Yeah, the industrial demand is key for silver. It's used everywhere. Electronics, solar panels, medical tech.
Ah, so its value isn't purely investment driven.
Precisely. That industrial base provides a sort of floor, a consistent demand. Plus, silver is generally quite liquid, easy to buy and sell globally.
Easier than gold sometimes.
Well, the market is robust, and again, because it doesn't always move in lockstep with stocks or bonds, it's another good diversification tool, helps spread the risk.
Okay, now platinum. What's its story in a gold IRA context?
Platinum's interesting. Its demand is heavily tied to industry, too, maybe even more so than silver in some ways. Think catalytic converters in cars.
Right, for emissions control.
Exactly. And also jewelry, some electronics, so its price can be quite sensitive to economic growth. When the economy's booming, industrial demand for platinum often rises.
So it can hedge inflation during growth periods.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
And of course, you still get the tangible asset benefit. Plus, historically, its price point has sometimes been lower than gold's.
Making it maybe a bit more accessible for diversification.
That can be the case, yeah. Offers another way to get into physical precious metals.
And palladium. Also heavily industrial, I gather.
Very much so. Also crucial for catalytic converters, especially with tightening environmental rules globally. Its demand is really linked to the auto industry and economic expansion.
Similar to platinum, then, in a way.
Similar dynamics, yes. Acts as a tangible store of value, potential inflation hedge during growth. But palladium has its own market specifics, relatively limited global supply, primarily from just a couple of regions.
Which could impact price if demand keeps rising.
That's the potential dynamic, yes. Supply and demand are key drivers there.
Okay, so we've got these different metals, the potential benefits. What about the tax side of a gold IRA? Are there advantages?
Oh, absolutely. This is a big part of the appeal. They can offer similar tax advantages to traditional IRAs.
I mean,
Your contributions might be tax-deductible upfront, and then the investments grow tax-deferred. You only pay taxes when you take distributions in retirement.
like a standard IRA.
Pretty much. Or there's the Roth Gold IRA option.
Ah, the Roth structure.
Right. With a Roth, you contribute money you've already paid taxes on, but then your qualified withdrawals in retirement, including all the growth, are completely tax-free.
Which could be really beneficial if you expect to be in a higher tax bracket later on.
Exactly. It offers flexibility depending on your tax situation and outlook.
It all sounds quite positive, But surely there are potential drawbacks or challenges people need to consider.
Definitely. No investment is without its considerations. A major one for precious metals is they don't generate yield.
No dividends, no interest payments.
Correct. Unlike stocks that might pay dividends or bonds that pay interest, metals are primarily about capital appreciation or wealth preservation. They don't provide regular income.
So you need to balance that if income is a goal in retirement.
Absolutely. You'd likely want other income-generating assets alongside it.
What else? I imagine storing physical gold isn't straightforward.
It isn't. The IRS has strict rules. You can't just, stash the gold bars in your basement if they're in an IRA.
Right. Needs a proper facility.
Yes, an approved, secure depository. And these depositories charge storage fees. Plus, you'll need insurance on your metal holdings.
So ongoing costs to factor in.
Definitely. Storage and insurance fees are part of the package.
And what about price swings? Metals aren't always stable, are they?
That's true. While we talk about gold's long-term stability, the prices of all precious metals can be volatile in the shorter term. They react to economic news, geopolitical events, all sorts of things.
So it's not a completely smooth ride.
No investment usually is. But the argument is that over the long haul, gold has shown an upward trend, and diversification helps manage that volatility within your broader portfolio.
Okay, so let's say someone decides a gold IRA makes sense for them. How can they maximize the benefits? What are the key strategies?
Well, first off, don't just set it and forget it. Regular portfolio review is crucial.
Why is that?
Because your goals might change, market conditions definitely change. You need to look at your holdings periodically, maybe rebalance, adjust the mix of metals, or change the overall allocation to precious metals within your retirement savings.
Makes sense. Keep it aligned with your plan.
Exactly. And the other key strategy is really about integration.
Meaning,
Don't put all your retirement eggs in the precious metals basket. The real strength often comes from combining them with other assets.
like stocks, bonds, real estate.
Right. The stability of gold, for instance, can complement the growth potential of stocks. It's about building a balanced, resilient portfolio that uses the different characteristics of various assets.
Got it. Okay, let's hit some quick FAQs that came up in our sources. Big one. How is a gold IRA fundamentally different from my regular IRA?
The core difference is the assets held. Regular IRA, typically paper assets, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. Gold IRA allows for holding physical, tangible assets, the actual gold, silver, platinum, palladium coins, or bars.
And the purpose is often that hedge against inflation and market volatility we discussed.
That's usually the primary motivation, yes.
Can you move money from, say, an old 401k into one of these?
Yes, rollovers are generally possible from eligible accounts like 401k or other IRAs into a gold IRA.
But you need to be careful.
Extremely careful. You must follow the IRS rules for rollovers precisely to avoid taxes and penalties. Getting professional advice here is really, really important.
Good point. And finally, can you just buy any gold coin or bar, or are there specific types allowed?
No, not just anything. The IRS is very specific. The metals have to meet minimum purity standards like 99.5% for gold. And they generally have to be specific, approved coins like American Eagles or Canadian Maple Leafs or bars from accredited refiners.
So you can't just put old jewelry in there.
Definitely not. It has to meet strict criteria. Working with a reputable gold IRA company is essential to make sure you're buying eligible metals.
All right, so summing up, it looks like gold IRAs offer this avenue for diversification, potentially hedging against inflation, providing that tangible security, and even offering tax advantages.
That covers the main potential benefits, yes. But crucially, you also have to weigh the downsides, no yield, the costs of storage and insurance, and the market volatility.
It's not a simple yes or no decision.
Not at all. It requires real thought, understanding the risks and costs, and seeing how it fits or doesn't fit into your personal long-term financial strategy.
Okay, let's leave our listeners with something to mull over. We've touched on gold, silver, platinum, palladium, each having somewhat different industrial uses, different supply-demand factors, different historical roles. So the question is, beyond just broadly diversifying into precious metals, how might really understanding the specific dynamics of each metal platinum's linked to autos, silver's broad industrial use, palladium supply constraints, how might digging into those nuances help you craft an even more refined, maybe more resilient long-term retirement strategy? Something to think about. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.